Leeds United are making a lot of moves this summer, and let's be honest, they're not all ones that people are particularly happy with. But the Whites have a seemingly long list of targets lined up, ready to be knocked down throughout the rest of the market. And I did one of these videos a couple of weeks back, but all the rumours have changed since. So let's go through it again. Every single Leeds United rumour and deal summarised into as much detail as I can get across in a few moments. I will admit I've recorded this video once already, the audio didn't work. So let's dive into it. For a little bit of clarity, this is all the moves I can think of. If I've missed some, I'll get them next time. Enjoy the video. So to start, let's begin with the outgoings. The outgoings, there's been a few already, and this is covering the ones that haven't already gone, so the likes of Archie Gray. First up, we need to talk about Illan Meslier, who has reportedly rejected a bid from Marseille and looks set to stay at Leeds United. The rumour around this one was he had pushed for personal terms worth £70,000 every single week. That one didn't happen because he's currently on 30k at Leeds United, and I took the stance on that he kind of wants to stay at Leeds, but he's set his price. Similarly, Leeds United, I believe, rejected a bid from Marseille as well, which, great. Clearly, we see the potential in Illan Meslier, and keeping him around, absolutely no problem with that. Next up, Junior Firpo, over to left back. Has not been permitted to go to the Olympics, and in my opinion, this makes him a key part of the Leeds United squad. If you were let go to the Olympics like you're allowed with, well, like you have to with any FIFA event, but you're allowed to say no for the Olympics because it's not strictly a FIFA event, I would have been of the opinion that, like, okay, so he's gone. Clearly, we're getting another left back in. That's fine. As he's not been allowed, I think he'll be a key part of the squad. He will start the season. He will keep going. I do think we'll get a backup left back in place, but at the very least, Firpo, I believe, will be a core part of the squad. Someone that used to be a core part of the squad and very much isn't anymore is Liam Cooper. Reports are that he's currently negotiating with Blackburn. He was offered a contract from Leeds United for 1 year, but he's beginning to be expected to leave. Part of the reasoning behind this is because he'll want to go to get more football. There's also reportedly Sheffield United in the conversation, but the more sides that Cooper can push up against each other and get to sort of push for his signature, the higher he can get his wages. Nice little bidding war. Could be fun for him. I personally think he'll go. I can't see him staying at Leeds United, but I wish him the best if he does go because he's been really good for the club. Also at centre-back is Max Wöber, someone that a lot of people aren't super excited by, but in my opinion, he's very unlikely to depart, and is also apparently set for a conversation with Daniel Farke. He said that he'd have a chat with the boss after the Euros happened, and seemingly that is going to be happening because Austria tanked out relatively early. He didn't have the best of showings, which could put off a few clubs. And whilst Borussia Mönchengladbach, the club he was at last season, were reportedly interested at first, the price tag we put on him was a little bit too high for them, which means that odds are he ain't going to be going there. I can't see him making a move away from Leeds United this summer. I think he will be a sort of rotational centre-back. He'll be pushing the likes of Strauch and Rodon for their positions in the squad, and I think he'll be decent enough because it is just the Championship. And on the subject of maybe decent enough because it's the Championship is Rasmus Christensen. Didn't have the best season last year. Went to Roma on loan, and I'll be completely honest with you, didn't set the world on fire. Roma apparently do not want him back, which means that it's going to be tough to find a move, and he will likely stay at Leeds United. He can play at right back, so maybe he fills that sort of rotational role akin to Max Wöber. Can play at centre back, so that's a little bit of cover, I guess. But he's going to have to take a step up if he wants to push into the starting 11. I can't see any clubs being interested enough for Christensen to move, is basically the issue here. Out of defence, into midfield, let's talk about Glenn Kamara, shall we? Who is currently halfway out of the door. Rennes offered €10 million, about £8.5 million, and for Leeds United, that represents a £3.5 million profit made within the year. Not really something that you can turn down if you're a championship club. And by the sounds of it, Glenn Kamara didn't have the biggest of complaints about the potential move either. There wasn't anything in any of the build-up where Rennes, I think, sporting director was saying, like, oh, we're interested in Glenn Kamara. At no point did Glenn Kamara or his agent say anything along the lines of, no, we're happy at Leeds. Which tells me that there was always looking like a move on, and he wasn't going to complain either way. Also in midfield, also linked with a move earlier in the window, was Ilya Gruev. There has been complete silence since that initial Borussia Dortmund link, and I think absolutely nothing is going to happen. It would take a big fee to take another midfielder away from Leeds United this summer, and Dortmund, I feel, wouldn't value Gruev at quite that level. Honestly, I feel like that link was sort of agency talk from Borussia Dortmund, or it was a like Borussia Dortmund looking at a lot of potential options. Gruev's name popped up once, and someone went, "Oh, run with it," as a journalist. Probably shouldn't have, because it was basically entirely inaccurate, but that's how football journalism works nowadays. Next up, we have another player that I think is essential at number 10, Jorginho Rutter. In my opinion, is very clearly not going anywhere. Reportedly turned down a bid from Brighton, at least we did. I feel like he probably would have too. And I quite like that because it shows that we are happy to hold on to our stars if we don't need to sell. The Archie Gray thing, we needed to, because PSR is a nightmare and a points deduction would mean another season in the Championship, probably. This way, turning down that bid from Brighton, very good. Means that we're holding on to our star players, especially our more creative ones. Also in the number 10, or number 9, depending on how you see him, is Joel Piroux. There have been recent reports that there are a few clubs interested, but nothing completely concrete. This is a weird one, because I wouldn't mind if he went, but I wouldn't mind if he stayed either. Piroux has a definite place to find within the squad, but he didn't in the slightest last season. We know he can score plenty of goals, but he needs to be in a more firm, solid position in order to do so, and I can't see him going, in my opinion. If he does, I think it'd take a pretty hefty fee. We'd want a profit for him, and I can't really see a loan unless he pushes for it. Basically, I think Peru will be here at the start of the season. Someone that I thought would be a little bit more interesting was Willy Nonto. We've had nothing solid about a Willy Nonto move since the Everton link that was like 3 weeks ago, which is absolutely forever in transfer terms. And I feel like a move isn't going to come. It feels like the Everton link was maybe a very lazy one because it was a link that happened last season. And over the last year, I feel like his star has maybe cooled down a little bit. I feel like a season full of championship football could be really beneficial for him. So Willy Nonto sticking about could be the best move for him and the best move for us. Someone that I do expect to make a move is Crescencio Somerville. Reports have gone a little bit quiet as of late, and he might be waiting until very, very late in the window. A lot that I've seen has, because apparently he sort of also rejected a move to Brighton, a lot of conversation around this that I've seen is that Crescencio Somerville could be waiting to see the bigger clubs that put in an offer for him. But I do think he is simultaneously running a very, very big risk by doing so. Doing that effectively means that other clubs such as Chelsea, who've signed a young Brazilian winger, Newcastle, and Liverpool could fill up their squads a little bit before Somerville is able to make that move. So it's a risk, but I can still see Somerville making a move for 30, 35, 40 million pounds. Next up, that's all the outgoings I could think of are potential incomings, and we need to remember, and this is important when I'm going to talk about what I think the biggest move of the summer coming in will be. I will cover that. The 49ers have moved very, very quietly so far. There are a lot of moves, such as the Joe Rothwell one, where the conversation had barely started around him before that move was done. Alex Cairns, no one had a clue he was coming in, and we only knew about Joe Rodon because he was on loan last season, and very clearly wanted to make that move permanent. So keep that in mind whilst we're going into this. A lot of these moves might turn into nothing, might be agent talk, but we'll have to find out. The first one is one that seems pretty solid at the moment, is a potential move for Sheffield United right back Jayden Bogle. I'll be giving a little profile on all these incoming players as well, just because you might not know them. He likes pushing quite high up the wing from right back. I had a look at his heat map earlier, and it's basically the entire right flank, which is really, really good. Kind of what we need, someone nice and direct to whip in some crosses. That final killer ball is what we were missing a little bit, and I feel like Bogle can provide that. There's been a very, very big spike in news on him in the last 24 hours or so, and he's reportedly in heavy negotiations with Leeds United. That one is one that I could very much see happening because right back is a position that we desperately need. And on the subject of right backs, we need to talk about Connor Roberts. He was a loanee right back at Leeds last season and could theoretically make a return, but I feel like it could be tough. There have been rumours of a move for about 3 million quid, and Sam Rodon on Twitter, bless his heart, has very much been stoking the flames by sort of saying, "Oh, Joe's made a move. Hey Connor, you wanna join the gang again?" So that could in theory happen. But I feel like it would be a risk for Burnley to make that sale. Burnley selling a right back to Leeds United when Leeds United need a right back would be poor form for them because they're very clearly wanting to push for promotion this season, and they don't want to strengthen a promotion rival. Sheffield United, on the other hand, relatively don't have a choice because financially they are knacked. But Burnley, they have an option here. So I feel like it's going to be one or the other, Bogle or Roberts. It probably won't be both if we're considering that Christensen likely stays. But we're also weak at centre-back. So we need to talk about Jordan Torunariga, who is a dual nationality Nigerian-German centre-back currently playing at Ghent with incredible stats. Basically, FBref defines the top 5 leagues as your England, Germany, Italy, Spain, France, etc., etc. And then below that, there is a next 14, which is the likes of the Championship, Portuguese League, think of other leagues, Eredivisie, Jupiler Pro League, stuff like that. They're the next 14. Within that next 14, he is down statistically as a top 2% tackler, and he roams incredibly high. He's got a impressive amount of assists per 90. I think he gets 0.1 assists per 90, which is huge, which is really, really good numbers. And I'd love to sign him. And it looks like a permanent fee will be going to whoever signs him. But the reports from Leeds went a little bit quiet a week ago. Crystal Palace are reportedly also interested in making this move, which makes it even harder for Leeds United to get done because if there's a Premier League move on the table, he might take that one. But it depends on if we're promising him minutes or not. Basically, wouldn't get my hopes too high on this one. It's gone a little bit quiet, but if it happens, great. Another potential centre-back move is one for Alfie Gilchrist. He's a Chelsea centre-back, right-back hybrid thing that would be a very, very useful signing, in my opinion. He's young and he's very, very promising, but there's a potential hiccup on this one, which is the loan rumours have died down a touch. In my opinion, this is because Enzo Maresca will likely be taking a look at him. As a new manager going into a club, you won't know everything about all of the players. You might have an idea of the majority of the first team, but those under 21s and those fringe players, you might be a bit like, well, I don't know how you're playing right now. I don't know what your level is. So, word is he's gone on pre-season tour with Chelsea, I think to the United States, but if I'm wrong, it's fine. It's still a pre-season tour. And I think Enzo Maresca will be taking a look at him before making a decision over whether or not he goes on loan. If the decision is made that he's not going to go on loan, that's a shame. He would be a really, really good signing for Leeds, but not the end of the world because I think he'd be fairly rotational. Next up is Oliver Skipp. There was a lot of conversation around him when we sold Archie Gray to Spurs for 40 million quid, got Joe Rodon in. People were saying, is he going to be a make-weight in any given deal? And he's a Spurs midfielder that can often play quite defensively, but can do a box-to-boxy job. Interestingly, like Glenn Kamara. These rumours went pretty silent after we completed the Archie Gray move, but that Glenn Kamara sale could spark a little bit more interest, could spark a little bit more conversation around this move happening, and in my opinion, it wouldn't be a bad move, but I feel like if he does go somewhere, it'll be a Premier League club. Next up is a more attacking midfielder, Callum O'Hare, who used to play at Coventry, has now left on a free move, and he plays as a somewhat creative number 10. Had a little bit more news on this one very recently, and apparently Sheffield United are currently looking the closest to sign him on a free deal. This one would be a little bit of a kick in the teeth, because we can tell he's got a lot of talent, he's got a lot of promise, gets a lot of assists, and him going to Sheffield United strengthens them, which until now, their big rebuild was Jamie Shackleton. The fact that they're going to add someone like Callum O'Hare is potentially going to cause a problem for Leeds United. But we might be looking elsewhere in terms of number 10s. We do need a 10, in my opinion. Who knows? Maybe Aronson can fill that role, but Aronson could also maybe fill the 8 role, a spare winger. I don't know. But outside of that, we need to talk maybe about a number 9, and the biggest rumour in this position was one for Petar Ratkov. He's a young forward in the Red Bull stable with a lot of potential, but this move I feel is likely not going to happen because there were very, very brief discussions on him. Very brief, a day or two. And it was very early in the Euros, and there's been nothing since. In my opinion, someone saw Red Bull youth player at the Euros in the same group as England, because if I remember right, it's Serbian, and there's been absolutely no word on it since. So someone made a very cheap, easy link to say, oh, the Red Bull thing's paying off. They're signing someone on loan, and then nothing happened because there was nothing behind it. I don't see the Ratkov one happening, but whilst that is all I can think of, I did promise you I would talk about what I think the biggest move of the summer will be for Leeds, and in my opinion, it's going to be someone we've not even thought of yet. I think the way that the 49ers work, being all behind the scenes and sneaky and making moves that no one's aware of, means that our best signing this summer is one that we've not even heard anything about yet. Is someone currently behind the scenes that we're having maybe tentative conversations with that will happen either at the last minute or out of completely nowhere. I think this is going to be a big summer for Leeds United, and I think we're going to do a lot of squad building, and I feel like we're going to be fairly happy with it. I would predict the name for our best signing of the summer, but I think it's a name that we won't have even heard. But that's all my opinion. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I kind of want to know yours. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed, that really, really helps the channel, as does subscribing. I'm trying to get to 4,000 before the start of the season, and every subscriber is a penny going to Prostate Cancer UK by the start of the season, as is all of the revenue I get from YouTube channel memberships. It's 99p a month, and I top up the part that YouTube steals, so if anything, it's more than the revenue I get from YouTube memberships. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. I will see you later. And now, a stressful day of football. God, I hope England win. I don't know if we're gonna. Sod it, yeah. I'll go 2-1 England win. See you later.